Most people do not realize when they are being influenced until it is already too late. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most confident people you meet are not actually in control. They just appear that way.
We have all met someone like this. They seem calm, confident, even helpful, but something feels slightly off. They do not tell you what to do. They guide you, until slowly you start making decisions that do not feel fully yours. Welcome to the Peak Leader.
A while ago, I worked with someone like that. On the surface, they looked like a strong leader, very composed, very strategic, very confident in conversations. At first, I actually respected their thinking. I thought they were just highly capable. But over time, I started noticing patterns. It started very subtly. In meetings, they would agree with my ideas, but later they would reframe them in a way that made them sound slightly different, more refined, more complete, and somehow more aligned with their direction. They also asked very simple questions, but those questions always made me explain my decisions. Not defend them, just explain them. And I did not notice it at first. That is the dangerous part, when influence does not feel like influence.
This is where psychology becomes important. There is a pattern called soft influence. It does not force decisions. It guides thinking, so you believe the conclusion was yours, even when it was shaped by someone else. That is why it works. People resist pressure, but they trust their own reasoning.
Over time, the pattern became clearer. Whenever important decisions came up, they stayed quiet at first. They let other people speak. Then, at the right moment, they would summarize everything. But the summary always pointed in a specific direction, their direction. And because it sounded logical, people agreed. Not because they were forced, but because it felt reasonable.
The turning point came during a key decision. I presented an idea I had worked on for several days. At first, the room agreed. There was alignment. Then, one question changed everything. The question was simple. What happens if this fails under pressure? It sounded reasonable, but it shifted the entire conversation. Now I was no longer presenting my idea, I was defending it. And by the end of the discussion, the decision had changed. My idea was no longer the direction forward. That is when I realized what was happening. This was not disagreement. This was control through framing.
Here is the key leadership lesson. Influence is rarely about arguing. It is about framing. Whoever defines the question controls the conversation, and whoever controls the conversation shapes the outcome. Most people think leadership is about having better answers, but in reality, it is often about asking better questions, because questions guide thinking without ever appearing like control. After I recognized this pattern, everything changed. I stopped reacting immediately to every question. Instead, I started slowing down my thinking. I began asking myself one thing: is this question expanding my thinking or narrowing my direction? That small shift changed everything, because once you see influence clearly, it loses its power over you. Here is the truth. Leadership is not about control. It is about awareness. The most effective leaders are not the loudest. They are the most observant. Because when you understand how influence works, you are no longer controlled by it. If you want to learn how to think like a peak leader, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we will show you how human behavior
really works, one insight at a time. Thank you for watching, and please check out our next video.